Hey guys, Tim here, JK Boots. Today we want to answer the question, why do logger boots have a heel? Why do they have such a tall heel? And big question, a lot of potential answers there. So let's kind of dive into it from both maybe the cultural side, the traditional side, the function side, and a little bit of the history as best as I can. So kind of going into it, maybe from the 30,000 foot view. First of all, logging has been in America for a really, really long time, and around the world. Coming back to pilgrims coming to America in 1500s and 1600s and all that stuff. It started on the East Coast, and there's definitely, even in today's day, a bit of a difference between East Coast understanding of like work boots and like heeled boots and West Coast understanding, and that plays into even the need for logging boots. So imagine back 400 years ago, you got pilgrims coming in, they're trying to get through this thick forest, they're logging, settling, building towns, all this stuff, and that same tradition and style of life, continued for hundreds of years, moving west. And the demands for footwear was more than just a regular shoe. They needed a boot. They needed something tough. They needed something serious and durable. And if you can imagine being in these terrains, mountains, tall, steep, heavy terrain, they need something that was more than just a shoe. And that's where the logger heel was born. The logger heel acts more as a tool than anything else. It helps with function. Today we make a lot of boots for wildland firefighters, and I think that there's an interesting parallel there between the work that wildland firefighters are doing today, maybe a logger 300 years ago, because both of those individuals were out in the middle of the forest, in the middle of untouched terrain, dealing with the elements. And the responses that we hear back today from wildland firefighters from having a heel like this is like, wow, I so needed this for stability, for traction, for support, ascending and descending. They can use the heel to dig into the ground, dig into the terrain, stay balanced. It acts as such a tool for the feet. Whereas maybe something that was a low heel or flat couldn't do that on steep and rough terrain, the tall heel does. Something interesting from a cultural perspective that we've seen too, there's a bit of this difference in understanding like with East Coast and West Coast, and the reason I think really just comes down to the terrain. Here home where we are in the Pacific Northwest, we have very tall and very steep mountains, and not just in one area but all over. The entire West Coast is riddled with mountain ranges and tough terrain. And we see that the logger heel here is much more known, understood, and just seen because it's more common. Whereas guys on the East Coast, maybe where there's not so much tall mountains, where there are some but not as much, and where logging has kind of dwindled down just over the years, we actually see a little bit less recognition for a tall heel. So that's why we get this question a lot. And so I think there's an interesting parallel of history there, that just over time there's been less and less logging there. There's still a lot here. The difference in terrain, the difference in mountains, the difference in how, really not that long ago did the West Coast even get settled. I think our own city, Spokane, is maybe only 150 years old. Not that much in comparison to how long the East Coast has been bustling and booming and moving. And so there's definitely that difference of parallel. So if you're watching from somewhere really far away and you're asking yourself this question, that's a good kind of like a little insight into maybe why you haven't seen this kind of boot before. Talking more into like a function and then like a body and comfort perspective. So here's a good, really, really good illustration. This is a cutaway of our boot. And so this is our classic Super Duty or Fire Islander model cut in half. This is our like bread and butter boot. And we've got a lot of videos on this one that you should check out. But the way that these boots are built is there is a very good supportive tall arch support. And the entire boot is built of leather. Okay, and with the way that the arch support works, it's really awesome. If you can imagine a foot is in here, when you're standing and all the weight and pressure is coming down from the top of your body onto your feet, the arch support coupled with the heel takes all of this pressure that would be in this spot, it takes it and distributes it evenly across your foot because your foot is resting in a relaxed position because of that arch support. Well, otherwise, if you didn't have an arch or didn't have a heel, your foot would be flat and it would be splaying. You would feel the pressure in your heels, then maybe in your knees and in your back and in your hips. The arch support in here takes care of that and actually helps with that. Well, you can't have a really good tall arch support without a tall heel. And so those two things play together. They work in tandem, hand in hand. To have a really tall arch support without that supportive heel would be uncomfortable and wouldn't really work. And so because of having that a little bit taller arch support, we have to build that heel in so your foot can sit in that rested, good position. I've probably heard, no exaggeration, thousands of customer reviews over the years about them talking about how they maybe didn't really have arch supportive footwear before. They're on their feet all day on concrete. Their feet burn all day. There's like that burning sensation in your feet when you're not supported and your ankles are swelling and your knees hurt and your back is bothering you and all this stuff. And then when you get into a good quality pair of footwear like this that has this tall heel that I've never seen before, and I don't know, I'm just gonna kind of trust the process and trust what other people say. They get into this footwear and a couple days go by and their knee pain goes away. Their ankles stop swelling. Their hips don't hurt. Their feet don't hurt. They go by 12 or 16 hours and they feel supported and they feel good in a pair of boots. This is why. It's because of that arch, it's because of that heel. And on top of that, the entire boot is 100% leather, including that tall logger heel that you're seeing. So the logger heel isn't just a historical thing, it's not just a cultural thing, it's not even just a function thing. It's as much a comfort thing as it is all the rest. It's so good for your body, it's so good for your back, it's so good for the components of your body. And I truly believe, and I think I've seen this also over the years, that when you get into a pair of these boots and you're working hard, you're hard on your feet, and you're supported, I believe your feet last longer. As funny as it is to say, your body will last longer because you're actually supporting your body, you're supporting your feet. Now, is a tall arch and a tall heel for everybody from a comfort and health perspective wise? No, it's not. There are those individuals that definitely have a flat foot and a flat arch where we do have products that do fit them and is for them. And also there's this zero drop perspective where people want zero heel and zero arch for comfort and also function too. That's also great, and that's for a specific customer. But the tall logger heel, there's a reason that it's been around for hundreds of years, and there's a reason it's staying, and there's a reason it's still so good, is because it does the function, it does the form, it helps with the comfort. It's used in these professions and in these areas of steep terrain and difficult environment, and it does such a good job in stability and balance and support. So it plays such a big role as opposed to just looking like a cool, tall logger heel. It truly is a tool for your feet. It truly is an asset when you're out there in the forest. And I mean, just imagine yourself, you're in the middle of nowhere, no human has been there before, you're on a 2,200 foot elevation climb, and you need something to dig into the side of this hill with. This is going to be your best friend, and if you don't have it, you're going to sure wish you did. And so there's definitely a reason why we make them, and there's definitely more to it than just the forestry side of it. We definitely see diesel mechanics and pipe fitters and welders and fabricators and just anybody on their feet all day loving the comfort and support of a good logger heel and a good logger arch. So that's kind of a basic little rundown there of why logger boots have such a tall heel. I hope that was good enough for you. There's a lot of other great videos out there and resources for information and knowledge about this too. Definitely educate yourself on this topic. We really pride ourselves in the comfort level of the Super Duty boot, and it's definitely a more older traditionalistic approach to footwear, but there's a reason why it hasn't changed in so long, and we're committed to keep doing a really good job with it and building the heck out of this boot. So please go check it out, jkboots.com, Super Duty model, and check out any of our other videos, and comment below if you've got questions, and maybe we'll follow up some other videos. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.